Here is Belumi for Pythagoras Consult tutorial services like we do. So this is for JSS2. It's going to be the third third week. Although what we have done so far in JSS2 has suffices for um, some weeks to come. But then, because if GS2, what I will encourage them more is to look at to watch basic one or basic GSS1, and especially basic 4. There's this approximation in the next class. That's that of the basic 4 will be just fine. Now let's move. The topic we are having today under JSS2, it's an interesting one, but very wide. I don't know how we are going to do it very precise. Let us pray that God assist us. Now, it's called, some textbooks we call it commercial arithmetic. It's embedded with lots of load. And some we call it household transaction. Some we call it household transaction. So with different, they just mean is just home, anything home. So when it comes to this, they call it arithmetic. In those days, I remember when the colonial master came, 18 something backward, 1840, I think 48, something like that. Remember, the no, not the missionary. What they taught their people in the church was commercial arithmetic. Not until ordinance came, government intervention and the likes. But then arithmetic is just very simple. It's just plus one, 2. So let's go. Under this commercial arithmetic, the contents that we have under them that I said is under it, it's very wide. Number 1, we shall be looking at profits. That is profits and loss. Number 2, we shall be looking at, although we'll just talk briefly about budgets, budgeting, and what income. So then we'll talk about rates. I think that's rate of interest sometime. Rate of interest, and number 4, commission. Commission is still part of it. Number 5, discounts. Sometimes I say discount and rates. So anyhow, look at all these bunch. They are bunch of work. But let me quickly start from income. That's budgeting. So we say, what is budgeting? So budgeting is the plan, or we can say financial plan. And then it's financial plan for future income, and what's expenditure. So all this one could look very big to this to what is financial. I know they might know that one, they know plan. Then future, they know that one. Income, I don't know expenditure. So what we just mean is we have household income. Your daddy's income, your mommy's income is the total income that comes into the family. Then when you put it on budgeting, you are planning on how to balance the scale between what is coming in and what is going out. Expenditure actually means expenses or Yes, it means expenses. That is what you have bought, things that you have bought, or that you have, sometimes you subscribe, all this stuff that you do monthly, they are part of your expenditure. And under this one, they will just add a very simple question. That's why I don't want to stress much on it. Let me give you example of what could be asked. They said, a man, a man's salary is 60,000 naira monthly. If you want to test your ability of, they put something like percentage. He spends he spends 20% on rent, 20% on rent, 10% on food stuff, let's say 15% on saving, 15% of saving, now said, and the rest, um, possibly, okay, 15, okay, let me say 40% of saving, and the rest on transport. Spend the rest on transport. So they may ask you that how much does he spend on transport? That is one question. Yes, and what percentage of his income is that? So look at it. These are questions that they ask, and students begin to scratch it out. What do they mean? What do they mean by this? It's very simple. Very simple. What you do is that you have not the total income. Solution. This question, I have not seen it anywhere. A good mathematics teacher should be able to formulate questions, especially for examples, but may not be able to formulate the one that is very deep because of plus and minus. I've not seen this question before. Just formulate it and see if there are plus or minus, then we'll make adjustments. So we know the total income. Say total income is the amount that came in monthly. Normally I have what? 60,000. Fine. Now the next one is what? Expenditure. Because you have to subtract everything that he is spending on. You have to subtract them on from the total income before you could know there for the transport. So we don't know expenditure now. Let's move. Expenditure goes thus. One, we have rent. Rent is what? Equals to 20% of total. So which will give us 20. When I say 20% means 20 over 100, the percentage there. Of multiplied by 600 for 1. Then we can do something. 20 can cancel this. So eventually, this one will now give me, now like I said, for primary 5, that you keep the zeros. So you multiply this, that's 12. Then you bring all we have 3 zeros remaining. So we have, this is what? 1,200 for rent every month. Now the second expenditure that we have says 10% on food. So we say food, 10% of the total. So this 20 goes. So 1 times 6 give me 6. all the 30 goes. So we have 6,000 naira of food. So the third expenditure we have on saving. The man normally save more. Save what? 40%. Saving as a 40%. I pray Nigeria will be better like this. You can save 40% of your salary. It means things are cheap. So this one, two zeros, cancel this. 4 times 6, I think that's 24. And 3 zeros goes 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's 2,000. Have 24,000 for saving. We have 24,000 for saving. Now they say the rest go for transport. Actually, I don't know transport. Now, to get my transport, I'll first add up the expenses that we have. So the total expenses. So it will give me, let's add everything. 2020 for sure. I'll write 2 zeros. But the third number here, 2, 0 making 2, the third one, so 2 will come. So 1, the next number here, I think 6 making 7. 7 plus 4, that is 11. Take 1. So add it to this, 3. So we have our total expenses to be what? Not total in real, but the one we have gotten so far. Sorry, this is 3 zeros. Oh, 30. So this one will be, sorry, 12,000. Sorry, 12,000. And this one is it 30? 30. Okay, 30. Sorry, it means my calculation here is wrong. So we have 30, 30, 30. So 3 zeros will come for sure. Then we have 2 next, 6 making 8. 8 plus 4, that's 12. I'll now take 1. Now this one become 2. So this one become 4. So I have 42,000 as my 42,000 as my expenses. Let me call it expenses, not total expenses. So because we still have transport, so my transport will now be total expenses, which is 60 total income minus the expenses so far, and this will now give me 000,000. So this one 2, that's 8. This one 5. So I am left with 18,000. So it means 18,000 is my transport. 18,000 is for my transport. Now that's the first question they asked. I've answered that how much does he spend on transport? 18,000 monthly. And what is the percentage? Now let me look for the percentage. Will now be that money, 18,000, all over my total, my income, multiplied by 100 over. So when you are asked to look for percentage, it's times 100 over 1. Look for percentage times 100 over 1. So I'll proceed by saying 18,000, 60,000 multiplied by 100. So this 30 goes for this 30. 1 is 0 comes for this. 6 here, 1, 6 here, 3. So I am done with everything at the denominator. 3 times 10, that's 30. So what? So we have 30% as my transport percent. And if you add the percentage, you see that it gives you 100. 30% plus 40, that's 70. 70 plus 10, 10%, that is what? 80. 80 plus 20, that's it will give you complete 100%. So we are done with this budgeting. So let's go to profit and loss. It's a profit and loss. Now, under profit and loss, we said excess over sales is called what? Profits. what do I call it? Excess. Oh, excess on sales is called profit. You could call it profit or you call it what? Gain. Any of the two. We use P to denote it, it's fine. So profits is equals to selling price minus my cost price. It means my selling price must be bigger than my cost price. So whereas loss is what you incur, that is what you suffer for obtaining something. So let's move, that one will now be opposite. Loss will be opposite. Loss will be cost price minus selling price. So you see they are just like opposites and they both have percentage. Profit percent is equals to profit all over CP. When I say CP, I mean cost price times 100 over 1 because they call it percentage. Percentage means times 100 over 1. So that's for profit. Then loss percent is loss over cost price times 100 over 1. So these are the formula regarding them, and I think I'll just bring like one example under that, but I might be logical. So they said an article is sold. Is that correct? An article, sorry, is bought for 20,000 and sold for 25,000. That's it. Find the profit percent. So this one is quite simple. We have the solution. So our it allows us to look for profit percent, but you must look for profit before profit percent. Of course, profit is equal to, we said, SP, selling price, minus CP, cost price. So what's our selling price there? It's sold for 25. That's our cost price. It's good that you list them out, no problem. So our profit is equals to 25,000. 25,000. Subtract our cost price is 20,000. So selling price, cost price. So let's move. The difference will now be 5,000. So my profit is what? 5,000. But they asked us for profit percent. So our profit percent, like we did that time, this is the formula for profit percent. We said it's equals to profit over cost price times 100 over 1. Always encourage your student to write the formula. Always encourage them so that they might know it offhand. You could do cardboard and put those formula so far. So our profit is 5,000. Our cost price is 20,000 times 100 over 1. 30 cancel 3 zeros. 1 is 0 here. 2 here 1, 2 here 5. 5 times 5, we have 25%. So when you ask to look for percentage, you must have percent there. When you ask to look for percentage, I've done this and this, and possibly let's move to this. So we suspend this to add it to next class by God's grace. Now, simple interest is quite complex too, and is part of commercial arithmetic. So looking at simple interest, you need to know some terms under it. Terms under simple interest. First is called interest. Interest. So what is interest? Is we call it extra charge on amounts deposited or borrowed. The amounts you have borrowed or you have deposited, extra charge on it is called interest. And two, it's called principal. Principal. What is the principal? Principal is the total amount deposited or borrowed. The amount that you drop in the bank or you deposited in the bank or you borrowed. Number three, we have rates. Rate is the interest percent. Interest percent on principal. So you give you interest percent. When they say interest percent, it means rate has to be in percentage. Then the last one is time. Time is the period. Period of, let's say, paying back. Period of paying back, or the period that the amount you use in the bank. So now the formula for interest. Simple interest now. Let's say simple interest because it could be a different type of interest. Simple interest. The formula now is equals to principal multiplied by time multiplied by rate. So this is the formula. Of course, it's going to be I is equals to P times T times R percent, because rate has to be in percentage. So majority of students will know it to be PTR all over 100. Still the same thing because this R is over 100. Sure. They could ask us to look for principal. They could ask us to look for time. They could ask us to look for rates. And that's very simple. To find principal, you just say interest is equals to PTR all over 100. Let's say this one over 1. Then you cross multiply. Cross multiply. By cross multiply, since I am looking for principal, so this will come here first. PTR is equals to interest times 100. So what I'm doing here, I am making, okay, for JSS2, they might not know subject of formula. So let's move on. So I am looking for P. So I divide both sides with the remaining 2. So I say divide both sides by TR. So principal now by TR is equals to interest times 100 all over TR. So my principal is equals to interest times 100 all over TR. So this is how to get him. So to find the remaining one is quite simple. It's the same process, but you just divide by different thing to find time. So it will be time is equals to this interest times 100 will remain the same. Only time will be absent here. Principal will come and replace it. If I do it the same way, to give me, because of time, it will remain RPR. Now, to find rate. It's just the same thing. Add now equals to interest times 100 all over. So this place now, rate will disappear there. So the 2 will now be TP. So these are the three formulas. So let me give one example. Example. Power. It said for how long will 20,000 yield 5,000 at 2% per. So they normally add per annum means per year. So look at the question. For how long will 20,000 yield 5,000 at 22% per annum to 2%. So let's look at its solution. Let's write out our parameters. Number one is principal. Our principal, I told you the amount. That's 20,000. They said the next one is interest. So that's what they said. With this one, yield this one. So the interest is what is yield. So that is what? 5,000. Then rates. My rate is 2% per annum. Then time. Time is the one I don't know. For how long? So I'm looking for time. And we have our formula for time to be time is equals to interest times 100 over the remaining 2, which is PR. So this gives me interest now is 5,000 multiplied by 100 all over. What do I have there?